I play a lot of DarkKnightmon, and I've had a few people ask me for an updated deck profile, so here it is. I'm not going to spend too much time going over each and every single card because I've already done that in the last deck profile, and to be honest, if you clicked on this video, it's probably because you know what DarkKnightmon cards do, but I'll just very quickly gloss over each and every one of them. The main thing to note is that I cut down on some DarkKnightmon ratios, mainly the BT10 one, and I did include a couple copies of LordKnight X. Now I'm going to really quickly go through each and every card. The egg, I don't really need to explain it, it's draw power. Fist of Athena, I like this card at 3 now because even though it can brick, the reason why I'm playing it at 3 is because it lets you actually, do plays that control the board. I've been liking it a lot at 3. With 3, I have been seeing it more in security, whereas with 2, most of the time you're just going to end up drawing it. You're not really going to see it in security, so I definitely think that 3 is the correct ratio, especially if you're not going to play Immortal Ruler. And I'm going to be honest with you, I really haven't been missing the Immortal Ruler. 3 of the Searcher Nene. People tell me to play less of this. I think you're delusional. This card's amazing. Yeah, just play it, especially if you're going to be playing 4 of the BT19 DarkKnight, which you should. You pop it, it gives you memory, it's good. 2 of the Mem Setter, I still like this card at 3. If you open this, it's still one of the stronger plays that you can do, just hard slamming a Mem Setter Nene, because the deck really likes starting off with 3 memory in the turn before you commit to, one of your 4 cost plays. So feel free to keep this at 3 copies. If you don't, it's not a big deal. 2 has worked out for me just fine. Just keep in mind that you really don't want to go under 7, because if you don't play enough Tamers, your deck just doesn't work. Just full stop. 2 Crisscross and Hit the Whip. Make sure that you're playing at least a couple copies of this card. When the game starts to grind out, you got to make sure that you have constant access to your pieces, and these are the ones that make sure that you can actually grind the game out. 3 of the Searcher Monitor. Don't need to explain it. This card is really good. 4 of the new Searcher Monitor. I think this card is really weird. I don't know why it has to have such a bizarre search effect, but regardless, it's really good. The thing you have to keep in mind is that it only works if you have Tamers, so that's why I really don't feel safe going under 7 Tamers. So make sure that you're playing at least 7, because 7 is the number that seems to be the minimum for all your cards that revolve around Tamers to actually work. 3 Agumon. To be honest, the 1 extra memory, it comes up a lot. Like, I really like playing with this card. In certain formats where you're forced to build against a specific deck, feel free to change this out for a Floodgate. This is definitely the most interchangeable card in the deck, but if you're not trying to tackle a specific deck in the format, then the Agumon is going to serve you the best, in my opinion. 4 Mighty Axe Mode. Don't play this on any less than 4. If you do, you're weird and delusional. Please don't play my deck. You're a freak. 4 of the When Attacking Digivolve into DarkKnightmon Skull Knightmon. This card's really good. I actually use this effect quite a bit, and if you watch my videos where I do duels versus my little brother, you'll see me use this effect quite a bit. Don't underestimate it. It's quite good. The Sec Attack Plus effect is really good because you can give it to LordKnightmon Ace and also LordKnightmon X, and LordKnightmon X just becomes absolutely ridiculous if it has like Sec Attack plus 3, so definitely make sure you're running this guy. Before, I didn't really like him because his typing ran into some weird issues because for some reason he's undead and not Twilight. And yes, I know that the reason why is because it's an old card and it's before they made Twilight a thing. The point is that before, DarkKnightmon used to have an issue with typing, and I'll be honest with you, I've had that issue a lot less recently because more of these cards are made to work together, whereas before, if cards in your deck weren't Twilight, it just felt really terrible. So yeah, right now you don't really have to feel bad about running this guy because of his typing, because it really doesn't come up that often. Same reason why I'm liking 4 BT7 Deadly Axe. The typing issue really doesn't come up that often. The card is just one of your best searchers because it can get you LordKnight Ace and also LordKnight X, and the inherited effect that it has is also really, really good. So definitely make sure that you're running 4 copies of this guy. This guy is awesome. 2 of the promo Skull Knightmon. This card is a lot less valuable now that it's not able to give Sec Attack Plus to LordKnight Ace or LordKnight X. However, I will say that I still use its actual effect to play a Nene, a mono from my hand, really early on into the match. If you open this in a Nene, go ahead and just hard slam it right at the beginning and just start swinging at security for free. Eventually, this guy is going to die and it is going to let you play out the Nene. I like to float into it quite often just to get even more Tamers out. The card has definitely lost a lot of value with some of the new cards, but I will say that I still think that this card has a place in the deck. If you were going to be cutting out some cards, this would probably be the first guy to go, but to be honest, right now, I just like him in the deck at 2 copies, so that's just my personal opinion. Just keep in mind that you are able to take this guy out for anything else if you do need to. 3 BT10 DarkKnight. This guy's awesome. I love him. My favorite card ever. although that honestly is probably now going to be the new BT19 one. Cutting this guy down because even though his effect is really good, it's less versatile. He only works on play, and like I said, you do use the BT7 Skull Knightmon effect when attacking to evolve more frequently than you used to before, so you get a lot more value going into the BT19 one. On top of that, the BT10 one just doesn't have an inherited effect, so I think that this DarkKnightmon just gets a lot more value. 7 has felt like a really good number for Dark Knights. Go ahead and give 7 a try. Maybe you decide that you're comfortable with 6, but I'm really comfortable with 7 right now. DarkKnightmon X Antibody. This card hits Tamers. This card's really good for fishing for OTKs because he unsuspends himself by popping your own Nene, gain 2 memory, and then he basically only costs 2 to evolve. You get to swing again for game. It's just a really good way to end matches really early before your opponent has a chance to bounce back. The effect to grab cards out of the grave comes up basically every single match, so don't ever feel bad about having to go into this guy. This guy's awesome, and to be honest, when the new stuff came out, I wasn't sure if he was going to have a place in the deck anymore, but I definitely think that this guy still belongs in the deck. Moving on, we have LordKnight Ace, 4 copies. Don't even think about bumping this guy down. I mean, I have seen some lists working with just 3, but to be honest, this card is your win condition. You really want to make sure that you're getting to it, and that's actually the reason why we're playing 3 Fists of Athenas, is because you want to make sure that you enable this Ace monster play, because this Ace monster is really, really, really powerful. I've heard some people talk to me about adding in other Ace monsters, and I have tried it, but the truth is that LordKnight Ace just does everything that you could possibly want. So you really don't need Zudomon, you really don't need Mega Gargo Ace, just stick with LordKnight Ace. This card is amazing. And then what I think is probably the most busted card ever printed is LordKnightmon X. Now, he doesn't do as much for this deck as LordKnight Ace, however, he is still an unbelievably good boss monster. This is how you get over stuff like Tyrant Kabuterimon, you know, monsters that are just absolutely massive and unaffected and you can't do anything to except hit over them. LordKnightmon is going to be your answer to those types of decks. On top of that, the main reason to play him is the fact that you de-digivolve their Digimon and then you stop their Digimon from evolving, so they're not able to play Ace monsters on top of that Digimon. If it's the only Mon that they have on field, they're not going to be able to make a comeback using that Digimon because it's effectively useless. The Alliance comes up. The collision is really good because you choke them out of their resources. Before, all DarkKnightmon had really going for it was just the fact that it could de-digivolve, but now having what is essentially like a boneless raid is really good for the control aspect of the deck. The all turns effect while having LordKnight or X Antibody is honestly kind of bait. You really only need to go for this if you have to hit over something massive. This card is perfectly fine even if you're not putting it over a LordKnightmon or even if you don't have X Antibody underneath it. The main reason that you like this card is the fact that it de-digivolves, it stops Ace monsters, and it stops them from building a stack with the thing that you de-digivolved. It's the perfect control tool for a deck like DarkKnightmon that didn't really have a lot of versatility going for it before. Lastly, the card that I want to talk about here is Cyberdramon Ace. I really like this card. Don't play this if you're going to be going under 7 Tamers. A lot of times what'll happen is your Dark Knights will float, or you'll get the inherited float of BT19 DarkKnightmon, and you'll end up with a random level 4 on the field, and then what you can do is that your opponent might swing into your board because all they see is a harmless level 4. The harmless level 4 turns into a Cyberdramon Ace, and all of a sudden they feel really stupid because they swing, you de-digivolve them, you get a search, you stack your deck. The card is really valuable, but the thing is that the play is only ever going to work once because after the first time, your opponent is going to watch out for it. So personally, if you see it, you see it. If you don't, you don't. Don't try too hard to enable this play. It's just something you can go for if things get set up properly for it. And usually when this play does go off, your opponent is in a pretty rough spot afterwards. So yeah, that's the deck profile. I'll be uploading more Digimon TCG matches on my channel, although keep in mind that I do play more than just DarkKnightmon. I have a few other decks here. If any of you guys are interested in seeing me play these bad boys, let me know in the comments and I'll be more than happy to try them out. But just keep in mind that DarkKnightmon is my favorite deck of all time and I will always be coming back to this because it's my baby.